Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing about a renal tumor, that is Wilms tumor or nephroblastoma. This particular video will be helpful for students pursuing post-graduation in pathology, undergraduates as well as NEET PG aspirants. So let's get started. In the next 10 minutes we will be discussing Wilms tumor under the following headings, that is epidemiology, genetics which is important, clinical features, gross, microscopic features which is also important, and the differential diagnosis. It is a childhood tumor accounting for 8% of childhood malignancies, 80% of renal childhood malignancies. The age group most commonly affected is 2 to 4 years of age, and it is very uncommon before 6 months and above 6 years of age. It is mostly unilateral but bilateral in 4% of cases, affecting both the kidneys simultaneously or synchronously, or one after the other, that is metachronously. It is multicentric in about 10% of cases, and in most cases it is solitary. Coming to the genetics, most cases of Wilms tumor, that is about 90%, has a sporadic origin. But in only 10% of cases it has a genetic cause or associated with congenital syndromes that we will be discussing later on. Now coming to the genes of Wilms tumor, that is very important from MCQ point of view. The genes associated are tumor suppressor genes. They are WT1 and WT2. Both are located on chromosome 11 at different positions, that is P13 and P15.5 respectively. Another gene to be noted is TP53, whose mutations are associated with anaplasia in Wilms tumor. So TP53 anaplasia. The three congenital syndromes are the Weger syndrome, the Dennis-Drass syndrome, and the Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. Weger syndrome stands for W for Wilms tumor, A for aniridia, G for genital abnormalities, R for retardation or mental retardation. The genetic abnormality here is germline deletion. Important to note the deletion of 11p13, which is the location for WT1 as well as PAX6. Both the genes are located here. Coming to Dennis-Drass syndrome, here along with Wilms tumor, there is gonadal dysgenesis and nephropathy. So another tumor that could be associated with Dennis-Drass syndrome is gonadoblastoma. And the most common renal lesion associated with Dennis-Drass syndrome is diffuse mesangial sclerosis or DMS, diffuse mesangial sclerosis. It's associated with WT1 mutations. Coming to Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. From the name itself, it will be easier to remember that everything will be wide, hypertrophy or macro over here, or megaly will be seen. That is hemihypertrophy will be seen here. That is half of the body will be hypertrophied. Macroglossia will be seen, enlarged tongue. Organomegaly, omphalocele will be seen here. That is abdominal contents will be protruding out through the umbilicus, and adrenal cytomegaly. Here also the genetic abnormality to be remembered is gene imprinting. Here imprinting occurs. In Weger syndrome, deletion was occurring. Here, imprinting occurs of WT2 gene. Okay, WT2 gene at the position chromosome 11p15.5. Now, how does Wilms tumor present to us? Most commonly, it presents as abdominal mass. There may be pain around renal angle, hematuria, hypertension due to renin secretion, and in late stages as pulmonary metastasis. So the site of metastasis in Wilms tumor most commonly are lungs. Grossly, they are usually large, 5 to 10 centimeter in diameter, single round and well circumscribed. Okay, there will be a pseudo capsule over here, but no true capsule. only pseudocapsule. Okay. You can see here the normal kidney is pushed to a margin over here, the normal kidney part. Okay. And on cut surface, it is pink to gray, soft, homogeneous to variegated in appearance, and there is frequent areas of hemorrhage, necrosis, and cyst formation. Here, one thing is to remember that in pre-treated with cases with chemotherapy, necrosis can be a definitive finding on histosection or grossly. Okay, and tumor rarely involves the renal pelvis. Here is another picture showing a focus of hemorrhage and necrosis over here. It gives a variegated appearance to the cut surface. Coming to the microscopic feature, on histosection there will be three components or triphasic histologic pattern. Biphasic and monophasic can be seen, but they are uncommon. So the three components are blastomal, epithelial, stromal in different proportion in different tumors. All the three resemble normal fetal tissue in an attempt to recapitulate different stages of nephrogenesis. Okay, and stages of nephrogenesis. In the figure we can see this is the blastomal component, these are the stromal component, and these are the epithelial component over here in the form of tubules and glomeruli. Epithelial component. Coming to the individual components, blastomal component, here the cells are small, dark staining nucleus and scant cytoplasm, giving a blue cell tumor appearance to the tumor in histosection. And there will be infrequent mitotic figures. They are arranged in four patterns basically. They will be arranged in four patterns basically. Here in this figure we can see the serpentine or anastomotic growth pattern. Serpentine or anastomotic growth pattern. Another pattern is nodular. Here there will be spherical aggregates of blastomal cell. Basaloid. There will be palisading or parallel arrangement of cells resembling BCC. And a diffuse pattern can also be seen in some cases, like here. You can see this is the diffuse pattern of blastomal cell arrangement. Coming to the epithelial component, here there will be presence of glomeruli. These are the glomeruli and these are the tubules over here in their abortive, ill-formed and immature form. Okay, immature. There may be heterologous epithelial elements like mucinous, squamous and neuroepithelial elements. Like you can see here, these are the mucinous epithelium in Wilms tumor. Coming to the stromal component, these are loose myxoid to fibroblastic to fibromyxoid in nature. Here there will be undifferentiated fibroblast-like spindle cells. Other mesenchymal elements that can be seen here are the skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, bone, cartilage may be seen in few cases, and neuroglial tissue can also be seen. Now coming to Wilms tumor with anaplasia, it is important prognosis wise. What is anaplasia? It's nuclear pleomorphism seen focally or in diffuse. Here there will be nucleus will be enlarged 3 times, more than 3 times of classical blastomal, epithelial or stromal cell lines. Okay, and there will be hyperchromasia. You have to exempt skeletal muscle cells over here because they may sometimes confuse with anaplasia. Coming to another one is there will be presence of multipolar atypical mitotic figures as you can see in this picture. Here is the nucleus showing nucleomegaly and hyperchromasia and enlarged more than 3 times the surrounding classical blastomal cells. Here is another figure showing the atypical mitotic figure and a nucleomegaly and hyperchromasia over here. Now, anaplasia, they will be associated with TP53 mutations as we have discussed earlier. You can see in this figure how intensified or how high the intensity is of P53 immunostaining in Anaplasia, Wilms tumor with anaplasia. You can see here this is an atypical mitotic figure. Now these are associated with bad prognosis as they are resistant to chemotherapy. Coming to the last part or the differential diagnosis, neuroblastoma, that is the suprarenal and intrarenal neuroblastoma or PNET, is to be differentiated if the blastomal component predominates in Wilms tumor. That is, if blastomal component is more, then you have to differentiate it from neuroblastoma. And if stromal component predominates, you have to differentiate it from mesoblastic nephroma. Other differential diagnoses is nephroblastomatosis or nephrogenic rest. What are they? They are the benign condition normally, but considered as precursor lesion for Wilms tumor. They are the persistence of blastomal cells into adulthood. When they are associated with the developed renal epithelium, these fetal elements are called as nephrogenic rest. But if more than one or multiple will be seen, they will be called as nephroblastomatosis. Okay. Now, one thing it is that if they are associated with Wilms tumor, they usually suggest bilaterality. That is, you have to examine the grossly looking other uninvolved kidney. You have to examine it properly for any focus of Wilms tumor. They may be of two types based on location, that is perilobar, most commonly perilobar location. Like you can see in this figure, these are the perilobar nephrogenic rests. Okay, and intralobar. This is a intralobar nephrogenic rests. Okay, here they are much more surrounded by the stroma. Now these are my references. Thank you for watching.